Good
Hello.
evening.
Good evening, everybody. Hi,
Good
guys.
evening,
How are
everybody.
you guys?
Kamusta kayo, guys?
Nice to see you.
I'm doing good. What about you, Kat?
Um, I'm okay. I'm feeling
Oh,
the cabin fever.
wala. Oh.
Cabin,
Well, hang in there. Mindset lang yan, friend.
you
I'm good too.
know,
I'm good too. We had two services today, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Services?
Yeah. Yes, lunch and dinner. It's
Oh,
rare.
services.
Yes. It's rare during this time of crisis. So it's the
yeah,
first time we had a lunch and a dinner service.
Wow,
super
congratulations. That's like a
celebratory.
win.
Yeah. Christina So says hi, chef.
Hi,
Hi,
Chris.
CZ. Hello,
Is
CZ.
You said CZ.
this Tina?
That's Tina.
Oh, hi,
Ah, hi,
CZ.
Tina. Ba't
That's
siya lang
si CZ.
kinakamusta mo? Ba't kami hindi? You, ha?
I think our half Brazilian chef Jacko says hello.
Hi, Jeko.
Hi,
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 Jacko.
Jacko.
guys. Can we
Hi,
say
daw,
hello?
Jacko.
If you guys are watching this, please let us know where you're watching from or what you guys are doing. Say hi in the comments section if you guys are watching. And yeah, let's just wait for more people to come in. But for the
Yeah,
meantime, before I do
yeah.
the whole intro thing, take it away, Rob.
Huh?
Or
Take it away, Rob.
take it away. You
Oh,
wanna
Is it
next
my
week.
turn? Next week
No,
pa
like,
ako. Take it
yeah,
away,
we don't.
cat.
Me? No. Well, so again, let's a little bit of catch up. We have
Oh.
been we saw each other like a little bit of cheese meets. The three of us have never been in a room together until was it Thursday last week?
Mm-hmm.
We finally
Mm-hmm.
like all like saw each other. It was kind of cool. Rob invited us over to the new Beso Food Hall to try some of the stuff, and it was pretty amazing. I'm still medyo nangihinayang ako sa schnitzel. I should have had more of that.
I know, right? That was really good. But like
That
we
was
served
good.
it
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the part where we were busog na.
I think there was too much food though that day, but that's why it's hard for
Yeah,
me. That's why every time I say I'm serious that I need a tester. We have too much food every day, and if I try not to go to work so I don't eat.
We see you eating in your
Yeah.
vlogs all the time.
Yeah, but we have a nice thing going on now since we started this week. We made it for every bundled every order that we sell online. We donate a meal to charity.
oh
Oh wow,
nice.
that's nice. For
So
every
that's
meal?
yeah, that's starting this week.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
if they
So
order
basic.
the bundle, you give
Yeah.
a
So
free meal.
yeah. So basically, we count how many people ordered, and the government, kasi now they have these programs, no? Kasi hunger is a real issue for a lot of Filipinos.
Yeah.
So we don't see that very often because sometimes it's outside Metro Manila. But there's a lot of
Mm,
feeding programs going on sa mga schools. So that's kind of like the direction we want to take it. Because
nice.
if especially when children are not fed, there's no. The fact that there's food in schools incentivizes the parents to send their children to school. So it's a
Mm,
bigger thing, no? And then so that way when they go home, sad but true, but sometimes they don't have to eat that much anymore.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah, so
Mm,
we decided everything we sell, one lechon, one like this, every person that gets a tasting menu or whatever, we're doing a meal for the to fight hunger.
yeah. That's that's really cool. And like I think nutrition, especially for children in the formative years, is just so important. It not only
Yes.
like feeds your body, it feeds their brain as well to do better in school, etc. Eric Sacro says hi, Rika.
Hi
There were
Eric.
three of us, guys. Three of us.
Eric, mag-hi ka daw.
Okay
You
lang.
don't feel left out. No.
Schoolmate.
No, it's okay. Put your intentions out there.
Kid,
It's
kid.
good. But yes, you're right about the nutrition in the formative years. By the way, did you know that
Mm,
July is National Breastfeeding Month?
nutrition month. What?
Huh?
Really?
July is National Breastfeeding Month.
Huh.
Oh wow.
Well, it's also National
I
Nutrition
happen to
Month.
know that because I'm an expert at these things.
Breast-
Nutrition.
No, but it really is. It really is. Because we had this yeah. So just saying it out there because a lot of people because of this commercial before. I don't forget which brand it was. There's some people in the population who believe formula is better than mother's milk. It was because of a very irresponsible TV
Oh,
ad back when we were kids.
Mm.
I'm not going to
Wow.
name brands because I'm not sure which brand it is. But because of that, there's still a big population that chooses formula right away.
oh wow.
But if you don't get breastfed, there's a lot of the healthy bacteria that never goes in you. That
Yeah,
so it's proven naman that breastfeeding gives you stronger, immune system. Yun lang
Yeah, and
naman.
that kind of like leads into our topic today, which is toxic Filipino culture and what we can do
Ayun.
to finally get rid of it. And I
Mm.
believe,
Oh, or
I'm
at
sure you
least
guys
address
agree with
it.
me. Yeah, we gotta address it, and it's gotta start with awareness, diba? So just
Correct.
like the breast milk commercial, nasabi nila, formula milk is better. I mean, can you imagine the influence of just one commercial, how it
I
affected
know,
all
right?
of these kids? And that's
Yeah,
what's happening in our culture just by passing down, societal like things. We're
beliefs.
not
Yes, yes.
beliefs. We're not talking about it. And I think, it's 2020. It's about time we really address it so that it stops. The change just stops. And so, guys, we are going to be talking about this. Grab your drinks, your wine, your water, your popcorn, whatever, and feel free to comment and join us in the conversation so that, it'll be fun. Yeah.
For sure.
Fun. Great.
Ayan. Hi, intro. Let's
Toxicity.
introduce everybody. Okay, so we've got Kat over there. She is a coach, a life coach, and she's super amazing. She deals with a lot of people every single day. She knows her stuff. Follow her at Coaching Happiness PH, guys. And then we've got Rob, Chef Rob. He is an amazing, talented chefpreneur.
Wow.
You
Thank
guys
you.
have to follow him too. Very talented in creating content as well. Passionate about what he does. And I am Rix Hernandez, and I'm a yogapreneur. And
Mm.
this podcast is about bringing our mindsets and our stories together to shed some light on these topics for you guys. So
Yeah.
yes.
Great. Nice
And
intro,
before
Rix.
anything, Ali Barzaga says hello to some Cavite. And then Eric says, what can I say? Most PA doctors endorse formula for most non-normal operations. So that's kind of interesting. I don't have
Yan.
kids, so I can't relate.
Mahirap yan. Mahirap yan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So where do you think the start of this whole toxic Filipino culture came from? Where did it start?
Mhm.
Well,
A lot of things, like,
Oh.
but primarily it really like it comes from the culture, stems from our primary belief systems, and these are ideas that have just basically kind of been passed on to us by our primary caregivers. So that could be your mom, your dad, si yaya, teachers, and even friends. And during our formative years, we're basically a sponge, so we just accept everything, as the truth. And we don't know subconsciously that actually forms a lot of our, belief systems going forward. Yes, Rob, were
no,
you
I was
raising your
saying
hand?
goodbye to my staff. I'm sorry.
Okay. What's happening? So yeah, I think like a lot of one of my favorite like Filipino belief systems. It wasn't taught to me growing up, but like I hear it a lot from my cousins. Is I don't know if you guys like were raised the same, like mga takot sa dilim. Like they were afraid. Yeah, like they're afraid of like going into like a room pag nakapatay yung ilaw. Like
Yun.
No.
Oo.
yes,
Baka
the
may
first thing they
mumu
do
dyan.
is they open the light because they're afraid of the
Oh, baka may mumu.
Mumu, right? But then
Oh.
imagine like you still have that fear and you're like 30 plus years old, and that's your instinct automatically goes to the light switch because you're
Right.
afraid of the mumu. Even the word mumu. I mean, who says that? That's the word of like a 4, 5,
Moo.
6 year old. But
I
because
know.
yun yung kalakihan, diba? Like
Oh,
that's what we latch onto, and that's a belief system. So
You know,
totoo.
they also like use the mumu if you don't finish your food.
exactly.
Bro, patay ka.
Kukunin ka ng police if you don't finish the food, right? So like
God.
whether you realize it or not, you are basically teaching your child to be afraid of police officers, or like when you're at the mall, diba? Behave or else kukunin ka ng security guard.
Patay ka.
Yeah, exactly.
Oo.
Right? And whether you realize it or not, like those are beliefs that really become ingrained into us. And those are beliefs that we pass on to our kids. So, like if a kid is kind of being naughty or whatever, you say, "Tsk, wag ka makulit, kukunin ka ng mumu." And the
Patay.
cycle continues.
Wow, I'm
Yeah,
so
that's
affected by that mumu up now.
horror movies don't help. But yeah, I don't like it because it's just syempre, the kid is not as smart as the adult who's threatening and
Yeah.
threatening the child with fear to get an
Mm,
instantaneous reaction just to be obeyed, no?
yeah.
And I think the reason why that's also very wrong is because adults, not all of us, some of us, or maybe generations before, or even now, think that children are stupid.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
the famous the famous saying that I really hate is wala pang malay yan.
Oh
Yes.
Diba?
yeah,
I really hate that, diba? There's no such thing, wala pang malay, because like I said, no, it's the first 7 years. That's pure subconscious programming for the
Yeah.
rest of your life. And to say
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
walang malay yan, that also shows that because you think that the child is stupid, it's also just a way to show your cards that hey, it's not the child who's stupid, Dodo. It's the
Yeah,
adult
exactly.
in this particular situation.
And usually from the age of 1 to 7, it's the primary caregiver talaga is the one that affects the child and his development and his belief systems. That's why 0 to 7 is always mommy says and daddy says, et cetera, et cetera. Whether you
Yes.
realize it or not, you're
Yes.
passing that on. And then 7 to 13, it's usually it gets overtaken by no teacher said, mommy,
Teacher,
that's not
yeah.
true. Teacher said.
And
And
then my
that's
friend.
right, yeah, and then later on friends, and that's how we develop our belief systems. There are actually three ways that we get them. Number one is what we call modeling. So it's like
Mm.
monkey see monkey do. So
Mhm.
like I talk about this a lot, especially when it comes to health. Like I have clients that have struggling with health issues, diabetes, hypertension, etc. And like we kind of explore that because yes, your DNA or your genetics might make you prone to diabetes or to hypertension, but it's really like what you grew up with. So if your parents always kind of fed you sugar growing up, and monkey see monkey do growing up, tinuloy-tuloy mo yon, and that's what you considered normal. If your parents were diabetic, etc., most likely you're going to turn into the same if you kind of continue on that
Yeah,
pattern.
definitely. Oh, role
Yeah.
models.
It's
Mm,
like super dangerous, no? It's like you think you don't see the second, third, and fourth level of consequence that
you don't.
can
No?
overtake. And so
Yeah.
I really hope that, because I'm a parent myself and I've never done the mumu thing. Like the moment I saw my Aya say that, hear my
Mm,
Aya say to my kids, I was like, don't you dare use the
Yep.
M
No?
word.
Don't use the
Yeah,
mm,
M word.
don't use the
Same
M
here.
word.
Same here. We don't allow there's no such thing as mumus for our kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember growing up, I was
Oh,
never taught that because like Tagalog was a second language. So when somebody tried to threaten me with that, I was like, "What's a mumu? I want to see." So that kind of didn't work out for whoever
huh?
whoever tried to threaten me to go to sleep early because of a mumu.
All
Yeah,
right.
another way that we actually get our belief systems as well is actually through verbal conditioning. So,
Hmm.
when somebody keeps telling you something over and over again, it's really going to get to you, which is why, especially when your kids are in their formative years, you really want to be mindful of, what you say. So, I remember growing up, my mom would always say, ang hina-hina mo talaga sa math. Mahina yan sa
Patay.
math eh. Math isn't her
Yeah,
ano
that's
eh.
so good.
Mas ano yan sa English eh. Hindi yan magaling sa math. Guess what? I grew up, I
That's so
hate
good.
math.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you keep
Power of
telling your
words.
child exactly na ang tamad-tamad mo, like wala mangyayari sa buhay mo, and that's how you kind of condition them. Don't be surprised if that's how they grow up.
I know, it's crazy, huh?
It's sad. It's sad.
Yeah. And
Well,
then
I was already a bit happy, but now I'm slightly depressed. No, because it's really sad because it's so prevalent in our society. It's just trying to get what you want by instilling fear in the subject that you're dealing with, whether it's a child or someone else.
It's super toxic. It's manipulation.
It is manipulation.
It is, but at the same time, I think just talking about it and really having the awareness and being more mindful about what we say, I think really helps. Like I remember, like I had this tito, and I think it's an older generational thing. I don't know if you guys have the same titos where they don't remember people's name, but they call them by certain things. Like I had this
Like
tito
what?
where he would say like, si ano yan, si bakla, si tomboy, like
Grabe naman.
like they knew the names, but they would rather call them by that, or like si taba, and like
I know that generation. A lot of them are a very irresponsible generation.
exactly. And then
Diba?
he had
Not
an
all,
apo,
but a lot.
and he has an apo. The apo was like 6 years old, and I would
Anong
hear
tawag?
that he would call the person like the same name. Like it was completely normal. He didn't see anything wrong with it because, the older generation, that's what they were doing. So it's probably
My
right.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
it took a while to really sit down with him and say, don't say that. That's not good. And then you had to talk to the tito and say, I had to go, tito, please don't do that. It's a really bad example in front of the kids. You don't want them repeating that, etc.
Oh, what did he say? Iba na yung pangalan ko sa'yo. Arte na, arte.
No, in fairness, he became a lot more mindful, I think, or at least around me.
Good. There you go.
As I just
go.
bringing it to light and seeing how it affects, other people, other generations. It's the same. And the last, and just going back to that example, the last way that we actually get our belief systems is again through firsthand experience. Like especially for children, their view of the world, like 50% of their beliefs are formed between 0 to 7 years old. So even if you think that, they aren't paying attention, or, they aren't noticing what they're doing, they absorb everything like a sponge. So, if a child experiences a loving home, they'll have a tendency to be open and friendly compared to a child who grew up neglected, who might be, suspicious of others. And I think that's one thing that I really love to drive home, especially with daughters. So, fathers who have daughters, piece of advice is really teach your daughters what love looks like. Teach them what a hug that comes from love looks like. Teach them what affection that comes from love look like, because when it comes to women, like a lot of our beliefs when it comes to relationships is really formed by our fathers. And if we don't get that from the father because he believes that being stern and stubborn, like that's the only way to be, they start looking for love in other places.
Yep.
And that usually leads to trouble, and that leads to a lot of
Yep. That can be trouble.
That can be trouble.
What's the next toxic habit that we're gonna talk about?
Well, we haven't got toxic habits yet.
Wala pa ba? It's still belief systems.
Yeah,
because it's really important to instill, it's like that's the root of why we have all of these things that we're about to mention. And okay, let's start with the toxic Pinoy habits. Number 1 is mañana habit. I learned this in school, the mañana habit. Okay, so the mañana habit, mamayana. Huh?
Yep, tomorrow na lang. That's
Oh,
different.
mamaya
That's,
na.
yeah, that's guys. That's different from the manyanita habit. It's
What is the
okay. The manyanita habit is when you have parties during quarantine.
Oh,
cooler party
that.
during
Okay,
quarantine?
let's stay
Yeah.
away from politics. I want to live to 2022 and vote. But yeah, manana habit is the
Mm.
procrastination.
Yeah. I don't know where I picked up my manana habit from. Because I definitely didn't have it when I was living in Dubai. But then when I came here, it was kind of normal. Like that in Filipino time. Like I didn't
Oh,
Yes.
understand Filipino time. I
Yep. I
used
was
to
about
think,
to say that. I think
yeah.
manana habit and Filipino time are two monsters of the same gene pool,
Mm, yeah. I
and they
used to
cause each
believe,
other's. Go ahead.
oh, hello, cat.
Cat got cut.
Cut. Sige,
I
ikaw na
Oh,
lang,
still
that's
Rob.
what. Oh, there
Ayun.
she's back.
no, I'm not
Okay.
weird. No, so like I remember like when I was a kid, um, like I was taught that like if you were early, you were on time. But if you were on time, you were late. So that's what I kind of got instilled with. And then I came here and I would get so frustrated. It's like whatever time you stay, it's always plus 30 minutes. And
Yeah,
that's
who
when people
invented
were
That's
that?
no good.
Who invented
That's no
that
good.
thing? I mean, was it? It was. You can't blame it on just traffic, right? Because there wasn't any
No, you
traffic
cannot.
before.
yeah.
You cannot. No, you cannot. But it's
So it really
how about you, Rick? When you're school, no, you went to international school. Was this manana habit evident at all in international school?
You know, the good thing about going to an international school is that I did not experience any of that manana habit stuff. Like,
mm,
I really only got to feel that in college when I went to UP, Diliman.
Mm.
Because in college you kind of cram and you kind of
Yeah.
manage, you learn how to manage your time and you think that you're smart by cramming things.
Yep.
mm,
So, I picked it up from there, but I was like, this doesn't work for me. I don't know why people would rather uh, do that and suffer later on by cramming because it's so
mm,
stressful. It's like,
It-
guys, if you have like deadlines or things to do, it's so sweet to take it in bite-sized, tasks and not
yeah.
Yes.
stress yourself out. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
that's something I wish would just go away, and I see it naman in my kids' generation. Na parang it's a little bit still there. I think it
Mm-hmm.
just takes reinforcement, no, from teachers,
mm,
parents, and
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
titas and
Yeah.
titos.
Yeah. You're right.
Mm. What
But
about
although I think the whole manana habit, Filipino time, aka procrastination, it's prevalent in all cultures. However, it's just so it's more prevalent here in the Philippines, no?
I think it's
Now more
because
than ever.
it's accepted. I think like people
Yes, it's
accept that
accepted.
they're
It's
gonna be late,
accepted.
like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yung mga
Yeah.
tipong, where are you? On the way. Tapos pag sinabing on the way, saka naliligo. Di
I
ba?
hate
Exactly.
Ganon.
that, mga liar.
Di ba? I know,
I
like, I'm on the way. Papunta na
I have
po.
a friend who is like that is his thing, like Filipino time. Like if I say we have to be there by 2, like 1:30 pa lang aalis ng bahay. And
Yan.
it got to the point where I would lie and kind of tell him that, oh, the thing that we're supposed to be at, like it's at 1, when in fact it's at 2. So even if like he gets there late, he's still more or less on time.
Oh
Wait,
my
in your
god.
experience ba, it's more guys who have the Filipino time than women?
No, it's everybody for me.
Is it
Everybody.
everybody? Universal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It doesn't
Well,
judge.
yeah, well, that
What about
sucks, no?
you,
But
Rob?
I
What's your
guess,
experience with that? Alam ko that's your pet peeve. Eh.
well, it's hard kasi, siyempre in my industry, hospitality, we have the saying, di ba? If you're late when you come on the right time, you have to be 5-10 minutes early because you still have to set
Exactly.
up, fix your hair, fix your uniform, and all that stuff.
Mm,
Um, and I'm like that also as a teacher. I'm in culinary school class. It's just how do we get through that? I don't know. Sometimes you like what you said, diba? It's a belief system. They grew up in an environment that being late was okay. Okay na, bahala na. Next time ganyan
Mm,
na, next time ganito. They don't take it seriously, no? Pero siguro my advice na lang for people is that if you want your life to get better, you have to start with your own house. You gotta start with your own self first. How can you ask for paano ko hihingi ng mas magandang buhay? How we're gonna pray for a better life? What if you got the 1 million, 10 million pesos that you were praying for? Baka mamaya you're so irresponsible, it would kill you. Instead of
mm,
dealing with it properly, you'd get into drugs, alcohol, gamble it away, diba? So I think important to know, no, while you still don't have everything you want, behave as if you already had it, but also the
mm.
responsibility to maintain it,
Yeah.
because you'll never deserve anything that way, no. If you'll just get better, bukas na lang,
Yeah. And
mañana.
I think that segues into another interesting, like toxic Filipino uh, culture part of it is that money is the root of all evil. Like that belief na,
Okay.
or like,
Oh,
kailangan mong maghirap para sa pera. Um, so like for me, like I grew up in a household where money wasn't really talked about. Like it was kind of considered like bastos if like if I asked about anything that had to do with finances, and that created a lot of guilt. um
well, that's not right.
and I no, and I think as well, like growing up, because like nobody really taught me about financial literacy. That was a
Yeah.
struggle growing up because I didn't really fully understand the value of money. Coming from like everything I wanted, was there for me, and it was rude to talk about money when I started living independently. I didn't really know the value of money. It was a rude awakening for me to realize that I had to be responsible around the little that I made. And I think that also goes into the belief that kailangan mong maghirap para sa pera. Like you really need to it really, like, money really requires hard work, especially living in like the age that we're living in. Like you don't really have to work hard, but it's more about working smart.
Right.
And as I kind of got older, I realized that all money really is energy, and that value is what creates money. So kind of coming from changing that belief system from money is the root of all evil to money is energy, and value is what creates money, really helped kind of shift that mindset from scarcity to abundance.
Oh, that's
Right.
good.
Makes
Yeah.
That's
sense.
good.
I agree. I agree. I think it also has to do because with the fact that we are a Christian nation, right? And long suffering that's in the Bible, I think is also taken in. It's misinterpreted as if you don't suffer a certain way, then it's like, oh, money is evil kind of thing, right?
Mm,
So I see a lot of people still in that mindset where they think of money as the root of evil, when in fact, if you're gonna come from a religious point of view, like, God wants you to be blessed and to be abundant. Money is a
mhm,
tool in which you get. It's just like a knife, diba? A knife can be used to slice food, or it can use
Hmm.
to kill somebody. So
mhm,
it's just a toxic teaching, only because money is associated with greed. But obviously, if you don't teach the people, your children, about excess, about greed, and about what,
mhm,
when to say enough is enough, because you truly don't need all of that money. Like, in fact, according to some scientific researchers, there are studies showing that there's like a margin wherein, when you've earned, like, I don't know what the amount is, but when you earn, like, let's just say you make 10 million pesos already in 1 month, or whatever that amount is, from that amount to the next million, you don't feel any different,
yep.
because your mind can comprehend that much more.
Mhm,
Hmm.
So truly, like, we're not built to handle all of that. And so it just creates like this, the more greedy you are, the more scarce mentality you have, diba?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, and I think that also comes from us Filipinos being colonized by all these Spanish people. We were slaves too, and
Hmm.
that's where a lot of the belief systems come from, because we were made to feel inferior.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
Uh,
definitely, and I agree with you both. No, then the whole thing about money, and I think now in this day and age, the fact that you don't want to talk about something because you deem it to be bad or evil, especially if you do that with other people, is that's not being good at. That's just you trying to put harm in at the gate, so to speak,
Mhm.
not letting it in.
Yeah.
However, I believe, no, really, I really believe this to my core, is that just because there is an absence of I'm not saying money is good or bad. Huh? It just because there is an absence of what is bad or evil in your life, it doesn't make you good. You have to have the both. You have to have both aspects of what's good in your life and what's bad. And then when you have that, you have the entire spectrum of good and evil, or really terrible, maleficent action that destroys. On the other hand, nurturing, responsible, cognitive action that builds. If
Mm.
you have that full spectrum and you choose, I believe that's what makes a good person. So being able to talk about sensitive topics should, I
Yeah.
believe, is very much part and parcel of why we have such crappy belief systems now, because
Mm.
we don't tackle the hard topics. We don't have the difficult conversations. It's always
Yeah.
easy. You must say lang, hop, wag mo sabihin yan. Wag mo
Yeah.
sabihin yan. Diba? So that
Exactly.
way, as a society, we cannot debate or articulate our position in really difficult times, diba? And
Mm.
that's part of being a good adult, mature man or in a woman, is
Mhm.
being to defend yourself at any time for taking a stand of what you believe in, but not because it's absent evil. But it's
Yeah.
because you know how dark and deep and how evil things can get if you don't choose the right thing. And so that's discipline also.
Mm. I think it's also a lot of like what I kind of feel like when you say like money is the root of all evil, or if somebody throws in a Bible verse, it kind of acts like a blanket to to kind of excuse people from the blame, anger, guilt, or shame that they might be feeling around a certain topic. Like when I was kind of digging deeper into like my beliefs around money, whether scarcity or abundance, I realized that a lot of people, the reason why they don't want to talk about it is because they aren't very knowledgeable in the subject, or
right.
they
Agree.
don't know how to articulate it to somebody. So if I, like if when I was like 15, just asking my dad about, like money stuff, he'd say, no, that's not something you have to worry about,
Hmm.
right? Or
Oh my
or if
gosh.
I would ask my mom, she would say something like, "Bakit babayaran mo ba to?" You know what I mean? And
Isn't
Yeah.
that so far from the truth, huh?
yeah, and
Diba?
and kind of like growing up, because like those were like the like, oh, don't bother with it, don't think about it. I kind of grew up not really knowing the value. So when I kind of hit a certain age, it was surprising to me like how hard it was to earn a living, or or just how much went to taxes.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
gosh.
right? So
Taxes.
I think having, when it comes to abundance and abundance mindset, really talking to your kids, talking to your friends, normalizing the conversation, or, being honest enough to say, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know what an income statement is. What is that? Can somebody educate me? I think that's the first step to really getting out of that belief system that money is the root of all evil. I think, education really brings a light to, things that we consider to be evil. It's just lack of education at the end of the day.
No, that's true.
Mm,
And that's why
I
we're doing this podcast.
exactly.
It's great to be having this dialogue with you too. Because I came from a background that we didn't want to talk about money. It was beneath us.
Exactly.
Diba? But then eventually it bites you back when you're not able to manage your finances.
Yeah.
Diba? What happens when you have two kids and now you have to send them to school and oops. Why? Because when I was young, ayaw pag-usapan ng pera.
Yeah.
Now I'm relying on get rich ads on Facebook, clicking it and getting depressed because it doesn't freaking work. Diba?
They don't work,
But still,
They don't
growing
work.
up
which
Gusto nyo
leads
bang
to
well as
kumita
the
ng
next part.
$1,000 a week?
Wala yan. That's why the next one is I don't know. I think this is still around, but when it comes to, I mean, I'm talking about like more on the women's side because mothers kind of teach their daughters, just marry a rich person.
Patay.
Parang that's the that's the biggest
Yeah.
na, that's the highest level you can reach if you marry like a rich
Mhm.
mayaman.
Yeah.
So, which is very crippling, diba? It's like
It is.
you're teaching the
It's like,
wrong thing.
yeah, I mean, that's right the way right the way you're telling the female child that you don't have what it takes in you to create a life for yourself. So instead, find
Basically.
it in someone else. My gosh,
Yeah.
And
Or
that's where
bad
problems
parenting.
come from because then the girl will only put her worth and value and equate it to money.
yeah.
Yeah,
Diba?
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I was
Terrible.
I was raised like that. Like that was what my
Bad.
mom tried to drill into me. Her three criteria was either milyonario, artista, or anak ng general. And
What?
it
Yun.
took me a couple of years to understand why anak ng general was a part of it
How come
until I
though?
saw how they lived. And then I was like, okay, I get it now. But the good
Why?
thing
Why?
is, huh? Well,
Why anak ng general?
because they're basically taken care of.
Oh,
You will
okay.
ask for anything, basically. But I
Okay.
think the good thing is like I was more of a daddy's girl, and what my dad taught me was like if you want something, you have to really work and figure it out for yourself, because if a guy gives it to you, there are definitely strings attached. And
For
that
sure.
that stuck with me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure.
Is it the
Mm.
same for guys? Do mothers tell their boys na parang just marry a rich person?
No, not my mom,
I've
but
never I've never heard of
no,
that one.
no,
Okay,
No.
good.
no. I can't think of anything to say after that. But yeah, that's definitely not good. That,
Yeah.
'di ba? That's why madaming mahilig sa mga afam, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ali says,
Afam.
Ali says,
ano
marry it,
yun?
inherit it, or work
I
for
can't
it.
even believe I said that term. Afam.
With the head thing.
And you know what? That's another huge like Filipino toxic belief is
Oh,
marrying a foreigner is better than marrying a Filipino. Or being in a relationship with a foreigner is better than being in a relationship with a Filipino. And I think that's because of the belief that if they're a foreigner, they can take better care of you than like financially as compared to Filipinos.
I have a little I have
Mm,
had a lot of discussions with women about this.
okay.
And they
What is the summary?
the summary, if I can just condense it, no. This is not my own words, guys, no. It's just the women and my friends that I have
And
is
that
that they
was
like the foreigners because they tend to find Filipino men are still very immature and irresponsible. The
Mm,
basic stuff. Basic stuff, ah.
yeah.
So parang you grow up with these types of men, and then parang 30 years old na bubugoy-bugoy pa rin, 'di ba? Parang he never left high school. But then the thing kasi with foreign cultures, um
And probably
parang
also
once you're
national.
done with high school, they're very independent. Eh.
Yeah.
So they fend for themselves a lot of their whole life. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
And with fending for yourself, I'm not saying it's always right. You don't doesn't necessarily guarantee you're gonna turn into a great human being, but at least that responsibility box is ticked out.
Yeah.
'Di ba? But then there's a
Definitely.
lot of Filipino men who are still parang they're 30-year-old infants. That's the word for it. 'Di
I
ba?
I I
Hirap na.
agree because most of the time as well, it's for me like like if you don't move out of your parents' home at a certain age, you don't really learn how to live independently. You don't really learn your own beliefs, like, because you've been
True.
so ingrained with your parents that you kind of like appreciate that. And once you kind of leave the house, that's the only time that you kind of realize that, oh, I have these whole other belief systems that don't necessarily match up to my parents, and then you kind of find your own individuality. I kind of
Yeah.
agree, like with the mama's boys things. Na,
Yeah,
um,
that's a whole beta male mama's boy complex.
yes, and then they look for women. They go, they date, they get into relationships, expecting the same relationship to continue. That oh, I'm
No,
just
it cannot
gonna
be. Yeah.
I'm gonna expect everything. Like, you're gonna give me everything, like my mom used to, and I'm gonna keep comparing you to my mom.
Oh God,
um,
stop it,
Yeah, although
guys.
that's a psychological tenet though. The
mm,
comparison of a man to his mother. That's
yeah.
why I believe no mothers have a very important role because I mean both mothers and fathers, diba? You're gonna shape the viewpoint of the opposite sex to your children by how you
Mm-hmm.
behave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Pero
Sure.
Pero yeah, I mean, so yun, I agree. Delikado yan because you know what? I was at one point a 30-year-old infant, I have to say. And, it
You're a
took it.
recovery infant.
No,
Thank
no,
you for
yeah, it's very different, diba? Because sometimes
mm,
you grow up when things are easy, you tend to take a lot of things for granted.
yeah.
Right.
Um, but now that I have the responsibility to also try to mold two men, no, in the form of my young boys, I
Mm,
read a lot about this. I talk to the doctor a lot about this, development doctors. I have some friends who are psychs. I really talk to them about it and read a lot. It's so
mm,
important. It's so important for a man to be able to be relied on, reliable, responsible, diba?
yeah.
And yeah, so I joke around, guys. Sometimes it took me 40 years old to learn that. Better
No,
late than never, right?
that's honest.
Hey,
Like
man, better
I,
late
I
than never.
I coach 50-year-olds who are still, still have that mentality. And it's hard because they're raising teens. So
Oh
parang
yeah, that's tough.
they're kind of growing and maturing at the same rate. No,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
going back to marrying foreigners, like I think, like, yes, like there are certain, and like, at least for us women, like there are certain things that we would prefer, like the independence, but I think, that aside, when push comes to shove, I think Filipino men are a lot more resilient. And based on my experience as well, I think Filipino men are a lot more sweeter. Like, it's it's
Yes, I
it's
think
so,
it's part of our culture.
yeah, it's like the
Oh.
lambing is there.
Oh. Pero wag
um,
lang masyado,
what do you
'di
mean?
ba? Too much kasi the lambing, it can become pathetic.
It can be an
Mm,
If
thing.
you go too far with it.
yeah.
If
No,
you're all lambing, sorry, so let me rephrase. If all you are is just lambing, no, it
yeah,
cannot be. I mean,
yeah,
if you disagree with the person, the woman, whoever you're with, you have to be able to accept her point of view. You have to be able to hold on and argue your point of view, but don't make it a
yeah,
shouting match at the end of the day, diba? Agree to
Yeah.
disagree.
yeah. But yeah, as I said, like may lambing. Well,
May lambing.
a lot of other cultures, they're very stoic. Like, it takes a while for
Yeah,
them to
yes.
like open
Totoo.
up and really figure out what's happening under there.
True, true,
Um,
true.
so yeah, what other belief systems do you guys kind of have on your lists?
Hmm. Um, Parents seeing children as trust funds.
Yon.
Oh, that is a cycle that needs to stop. That
I
really
mean,
is.
you guys have experience with this. I mean, have you ever
Kind
felt that growing up a little bit?
Me, kind of. Like, I remember I was in my 20s, and I had my ex at the time. Like, he was at the house, and my dad was there, and he kind of came up. My dad kind of came up to me, and he was like, "Ayaw mo ba mag-asawa?" And I was like, "Why? I don't understand." And his point was, parang he was worried for me kasi sino daw yung mag-aalaga sa akin pagtanda ko. And I found that kind of sad because at the same time, I could kind of see like that's where he was kind of going for himself as well. Like, like when I get older, who's going to take care of me? And he wanted to kind of make sure that, like, if I was married off, hey, someone could kind of step up and take care of him when he kind of got older, if that makes sense.
Oh wow. So it was coming from a place of his own need.
I think he also wanted to see me like walk down the aisle, but I was like, nah, that's wasn't ready then, still not ready now. But just kind of seeing that sadness of, like, I want somebody to take care of you because I need somebody to take care of me when I get older. Like that's the and then they set us up for it, right? Like, oh, ikaw yung babae. So, you are automatically required to take care of, whoever the parent is. And yeah.
Yeah, because we don't have homes here. Homes for the elderly. We don't do that here.
No, we don't.
We don't. No, but I think it's also just being irresponsible at the end of the day. Like, I don't want to be responsible for myself, so I'm gonna guilt you that, like, pinalaki kita, pinaaral kita, now it's your turn. Parents need to realize that it is your responsibility to raise that child. It's hindi siya utang na loob. And the cycle continues because they're probably also, like, taking care of their parents. So kung anong mapupunta dapat sa ipon, napunta sa gastos ng like medicine or whatever for the parents. And then they just kind of think, oh, it's going to be the same when I get older and my kids get older. They're going to do the same for me. And it's expected. So, like in this day and age where, you can barely kind of cover your own costs. You have that like responsibility of having to think of, okay, paano naman like pagtanda, I have to take care of this, and this, if that makes sense. Yel says mandatory utang na loob. Exactly. Yeah, it's not.
Yes, but may I?
Mm-hmm.
I understand your point, no. But if we let's look at the if we may, just if you put yourself in the shoes of a minimum wage earner, and they expel hours of work in exchange for a wage that goes on and on for the rest of their life till they're physically unable to carry on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that especially for that person, their frame of mind is that I have used up my energy. Kumbaga, I'm expired already as a utility. My utility is gone. So maybe this time it's the time for my children. I just, in a way, kasi I disagree with that when I was younger. But now that older that I get, you see people, you talk to them. That's what they're going through then. Because parang, they reach a point in their life where a lot, especially blue-collared workers, but they live from paycheck to paycheck. They're very unknowledgeable in investments. If ever they do invest, sometimes niloloko pa sila, and then they bound to never invest again because, diba? So then, they procreate children and they hope and pray that they take care of them. For the utang na loob. So yeah, it might seem like an unfair burden, but sometimes it's really all they have to hope on for.
No? I think at the same point, I think it's different though because I have a guest.
Hello.
Meet Iggy, guys. I think it's different because that's coming from survival mode. I think I'm talking more about like white collar or having that conversation at least with your parents of, oh, do you have a retirement plan? Because a lot of the times talking about retirement, talking about insurance, it's super taboo. Like like I have friends who are financial advisors and they have such a hard time talking about insurance with sorry dog. They have such a hard time talking about being financially responsible for themselves because the older generation automatically goes, bakit mamamatay na ba kami? Or like why are you planning like for our demise
that's
like
not good.
so soon?
And that
So
all boils
mhm.
no, that all boils back to the whole conversation that money is a taboo topic kasi.
Yeah.
Diba?
So
Bad.
I
Yeah, because
think
I think it's because people still think that they don't deserve to be abundant. They don't deserve to have money. It's like it's so ingrained
mm,
in their psyche
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
yeah,
don't
yeah. I agree.
deserve
It's
it, you
sad.
know?
It's very
scarcity
sad.
mindset is what we call that. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of this false humility kasi also going around.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's true. It's
Diba?
very unhealthy.
Yeah, it's unhealthy. I mean, humility is great, but false humility, is it what's this sacrosanct? Is it sanctimonious? Diba?
Mm.
You have this sanctimonious, you think you're morally right, and because you're morally right, it puts you on a pedestal compared to the other person you're gauging yourself from.
And
Wala,
that
these are all bad habits. Basically, I
yeah.
think if I can just boil it all down, if I may, no, is a lot of these bad habits has to come when we disconnect from other people and think that we're separate from them and that we one up them. And it all boils down from Rika's topic before, which is fear. Diba? I was watching your TikTok, Rika. I'm gonna put a TikTok, by the way, because of Rika.
Yay!
Really?
Yeah.
Influence.
And I'm not gonna do the tan 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 tan.
Oh, you know how pala eh.
Ayoko. I just watch a lot of it.
Oh
No,
gosh.
but yeah, you're sad. This is a good topic. We should talk more because my gosh, it's already an hour and we're not yet. I'm not yet even 25% done with my notes.
Oh my gosh. All right, what's our next one? Our
How
next
about
one.
chismis? Paborito ko to eh, chismis.
Chismis.
Gossip.
What
Oh
about
my God.
chismis?
Gossip.
It's like our pastime.
Dude, yeah, and for a Catholic Christian country to gossip,
Mm.
it goes against everything Christians and Catholics hear and study and get
Mm.
preached on, but they still
Well,
do it.
we also got that from the Spanish who taught us about Catholicism. So
Yeah, yeah, but
irony.
for me, because I really hate it. I mean, I think the biggest case of gossip I ever encountered was like when my marriage ended and I got
Mm.
separated. My gosh, all the gossip I would hear
Yeah.
nonstop from everybody. And it
Yeah.
was all conflicting pa, diba? And then I don't know if people realize that when they gossip, they actually make things worse. But
Mm.
I do believe that some of them want to think that they're actually helping the person involved by sharing their ideas and what they think they heard and all of that stuff. But my gosh,
Yeah.
I hate gossip so much. I have a lot of female friends I friendship over it because they gossiped like crazy when my marriage ended. They made things worse. And
So
I'm
they
so
weren't really
pissed
friends.
at them. I'm so pissed at them. My
Mm.
old self would totally name names right here and tell you, go fuck yourself, diba? But no. You know who you are. So magsisi kayo dyan sa conscience nyo.
Drink
Coming from
water.
a place of awareness.
My gosh,
Yeah.
dude, this totally is a topic that hits home for me.
Mm.
So,
I agree. Like
and
I hate gossip too. I mean, I remember it's like when you're doing good because people are jealous, they actually take the time out of their busy schedules to call people and say, we gotta have a meeting. We gotta have a
Mm.
meeting. And the meeting agenda is talking about you. So I had an experience about this when I put up my yoga studio. You know,
Okay.
I'm a very businessy kind of gal, and when I do something, I always do it with excellence. And so my studio,
wow,
uh,
I love
right
it.
away, had it was just set up. It was great, and I had a lot of events going on, and I had imagine these are yoga people. You would think that yoga people have it together,
Yeah,
have
yeah,
their
they're like this, huh?
emotions controlled and stuff. They would gather for meetings for teaching yoga, but the warm up, I love it. It's like the icebreaker while they're getting their food is, we gotta discuss about Rika and make chismis. Like, alam mo ba yung ginagawa niya, ganyan. And it
Oh my
happens
god.
also in cell groups in church na parang before cell group Bible study starts, ano,
Yeah.
what's up with some gossip? What do you know? And what do I
Gossip before Bible study.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
terrible.
true. It
That's
happens.
terrible. But that's
It's terrible.
terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a
So
different take. Honestly, like I love gossip.
I think every
Well, it
moment
can be
gossip is
fun.
different.
So, but
It can be
for me,
fun.
I love gossip because for me, it tells me more about the other person than it does about
No, yeah,
what's being
this.
talked about.
Oh, you mean like who? It tells you
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the person
definitely.
gossiping.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like for me, like, I have a. I usually ask, is it chismis or is this, or are you just venting? Right, because I think that's different because as humans we go through a range of emotions, and a lot of the time we just need to get it out there. We need somebody just to hear us for and just hear what we're going through and to empathize with us, right?
Right.
But when it turns into gossip is when it's like secondhand, third hand information already, and the story kind of takes a mind of its own. So
Yeah.
what I love about gossip is just seeing just like how many people are so interested in your life. Number one, like, wow, I didn't know this many people cared about me. To talk about me this much. And number two, it really just goes to show, like the people that you should be trusting, the people that you should be talking to. Like all of Rob's girlfriends that kind of like turned on him and had their own versions of
Wait, don't say girlfriends, huh? People might get the wrong
girl
idea.
girl
Girl
space
dash.
friends. Yeah,
Female friends.
female friends,
There you go.
who had like this version
Sounds
of,
bad kasi all of Rob's girlfriends.
what
Wala
you
nga
never
eh.
see in a relationship. It's just girls that happen to be friends, right?
Oh, there
You
you
know,
go. There you go. Better. Much needed. Okay, continue.
like they had all these, like they had their versions, they had their own like 2 cents on what was happening in the relationship when they aren't even part of the problem. The issue was between Rob and his ex, and they took it upon themselves to
Yeah,
give their opinions to everybody. And
seriously.
for me, right? And for me, that just kind of shows that, okay, thank you for the friendship. I guess it doesn't serve me. This isn't win-win for us anymore. It's more win for you and doesn't work for me. So thank you. Bye.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, and I think that people love to gossip.
Mm,
It's because it's part of the narcissist's toolkit, diba? Oy, you
true.
know what? I heard something about like this and like that. The reason why they like to gossip in that manner is because they can come out acting concerned.
Mm.
That's their camouflage.
Acting,
They pretend
yes.
to be concerned, but then the
Mm,
things that they're saying, it's out to hurt. It's out to get
yeah,
people hurt. It's how to put
yeah,
people down so they can be placed higher on their pedestal. So
yeah.
you know who you are. When I talk about this, and I'll say it again. Fuck you.
My rule of thumb is like if you're gonna say something to somebody, make sure you can say that to the person's face.
Yeah, and a little analogy on what gossip is like. No, it's kind of like riding. If you're the gossiper, you're driving this fast car, but you're telling everyone in the car no need to wear seatbelts, and you're just going faster and faster.
Yeah.
Diba? So someone's bound to get hurt. And
True.
so anyway, I'm gonna stop ranting about it now, but it really is something that's it's a big deal for me. But I
Yeah.
know that it's all in a tendency. Sometimes we cannot help but talk about other people because sometimes a lot of the issues in our life, most of the time, are involved with other people. And
Yeah.
so, parang me on a personal level, what I do is I try to make sure that the way that if I talk about other people, I always try to keep my intentions in check. That it's not to demean or reduce someone else on purpose. You know, for as long
Mm,
as I'm can be content that I'm not doing that to someone else, then it allows me to speak about, let's say, if I'm going to talk about Rika's yoga studio, it comes from an objective and maybe even a positive I don't know, space. No, I'm not out there
mm,
to put Rika down or her ideas down, but I'm more just matter of fact. Let's talk about this. What are the pros? What are the cons? So
mm.
as soon as I have that little devil in me wanting to take revenge on someone. Name names, Rob. Name names. The little devil says. I stop myself, so to speak. I slow the car down and I put my seatbelt. Just make sure I
So
just don't say anything.
so it's more giving feedback rather than chismes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kasi ano if you trace back where gossiping and talking to each other came from, and it's more, it's like women gossip more, right? I mean, because the men, I mean, if you trace ourselves back to the caveman days, the men are the hunters and the women are the ones that stay and protect the tribe, diba? The reason why women learned how to talk to each other all the time was because they needed to create sounds to be able to
Mm,
ward off, like, tigers and whatever.
yeah.
So it was like a form of survival to just talk and make noise and stuff like that. But
Find it
Interesting.
hilarious how like chismis was what warded off the tigers. They were
Yeah,
like,
that's
well, that's
interesting.
I'm not gonna hang out here. Papag-usapan ako.
yes, pinapag-usapan ako may tiger. But
Well, it is a
society,
weapon.
it is a weapon. But when people start putting, instead of an exchange of information, now they're adding like their own opinions, what they think. It starts to
Mm,
become toxic. It ruins the stew. So I think
yeah.
that's when gossiping is bad. When you start to put out your opinions, na it's not naman relevant dun sa information, di ba? So
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
that's
It's
when it
unneeded
becomes
drama at
political.
the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
terrible. And you know what makes matters worse? Even in the office environment, my gosh, there are these people that like to gossip in the office environment, and they are so toxic. They drag
Definitely.
everyone down. They talk badly about their boss. They'll talk badly about their subordinates. They'll talk
Mm.
badly about their colleagues. And when they go another weekend with different colleagues, they're gonna talk badly about you. I
Yeah.
hate people like that. I
I think
just
that is sociopath na, that's ano. But yeah, that is
it
very
is.
prevalent because it's a very small environment and people want to be seen. And I think that's just the way that people act out, wanting
Yeah, it's
attention.
terrible.
It's just your theory of space. Like, like notice who you're always with, who are the 5 people that that you commonly that you surround yourself with, and take a look at their values, like chismosa ba sila?
Right.
Yeah.
Like is the need there? Because if chismis is getting out, it's most likely coming from those guys. So really take a look at your space and take a look at, is it serving you, or are you the smartest, richest, most, accomplished person in the room? Because if it's you, then you probably need to upgrade your space. And I think also just having that level of detachment of I don't really care,
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah. That's
really works. Like I don't care what you say about me, because it's more a reflection of you than it is about me. And I'm just here to live my best life, and bahala ka sa buhay
you know what?
mo.
That's wonderful, Kathy. You know why that's so wonderful? Because
Why?
now we just addressed this entire annoying gossip, toxic attitude with our very first topic, which is your belief system.
Mm.
Diba? If you
Yeah.
have a solid belief system, you have probably maybe some healthy self-esteem. You're
Right.
aware.
Mm.
You also have some practical knowledge of the good and the bad in people, and that gossip is part of life, and it's something that you have to deal with. Our
Yeah.
children are surely going to deal with it at one point in their life, and it's going to get worse, diba? So we don't want to pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, diba? Having a good, if your head is in the right place, uh, if, diba, pag nasa tamang lugar ang isip mo, I'll make it Tagalog para it's more understandable for most. Kahit ano pa, whatever goes your way, kahit hirap pa yan dadating sa inyo, you're less likely to topple over and trip.
Mm.
Diba?
Yeah.
Because you're in a solid, calm space.
Yeah.
Mm. It,
Yeah.
it, it really goes back to, I think, building that resilience and that grit towards, whatever it is that life tries to throw at you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
you
why
know
it's
what?
super important to affirm who you are, like all the time, every day. Like affirm who you are. You really gotta know what you're made of, because when people start to talk about you, and it's gonna sting, or it can kill you. You just gotta
It
be
can.
very strong to
Yeah.
be able
Yeah.
to just be like, that doesn't bother me. It's nothing.
And you know what? The gossiping now for the younger generation is worse. Because
Oh
gossip
yeah.
before, because it happens online.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
bullying, no? The cyberbullying.
Yeah. So the gossip can happen online, whereas before, maybe gossip happened at school, at work, but at
Yeah.
least you have a break from it. You go home and it's a break. You wake up, it's a new day. But
Mhm.
for our kids now and for the younger generation, it happens online. So it stays
Yeah.
in the feed of people, it gets posted and shared, and it can
That's so
spread like
traumatic.
wildfire. No? It's hard, no?
Mhm.
And it's very sad. And that's why, in the last I have my research here, by the way.
Wow, there's a graph pa.
Yeah, suicide
I
in
love
the
how
last
Rob totally geeks out.
yeah, that's suicide in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Sad, diba? And
So
it's very linked with the whole technology and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, the social media, fake posting, ranting online, bad for your health.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
That's actually yes.
No, I have to say, this doing this thing with the two of you, it's also very good for me because I really get my spirits up and I can learn from your insights. And it's nice to have kasi a dialogue. Eh.
Mm.
Instead of seeing everything is complain na lang, complain sa gobyerno, complain
Mm.
dito, complain sa Facebook.
Yeah.
Chismis na lang, di ba? Chismis na lang
yeah,
tayo.
This is your new theory of space.
I know, it's
We
nice.
now
really,
and
I-
meet. At least we meet weekly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
it's a positive discourse. Eh.
yeah.
yeah,
No, like going back to like the depression and suicide rates, that's actually one of the reasons why I put up coaching happiness. It is really to bring awareness and to really combat what a lot of our generation and the younger generation are going through, and a lot of that has to do then with social media and trying to keep up with the Joneses. But based on like what I've been studying and kind of based on my experience with clients, a lot of these depressive episodes, a lot of these suicide attempts can be stopped just by having somebody there to talk to about it. Just to have somebody there that isn't judging you, somebody that can hold space and just listen to whatever it is that you're going through, and just to tell you that everything is going to be okay. It really is about how do you build resilience, especially with the younger generation, where in a way things have really come to them a lot more easier, right? Like growing up when we had research assignments or whatever, we had to go to the library, we had to crack open encyclopedias, etc. Like everything now is at their fingertips. And I think it's because of that, they don't have as much grit or as much resilience as the older generation when it comes to dealing with all these new experiences, all these emotions that are kind of happening to them. I
I
don't believe
agree.
that we have I don't believe that we have like negative experiences or negative emotions. I usually tell clients like that's where the best lessons are. So
right.
like really
Yes.
dig where is the pain coming from, because that's the lesson that you need to learn. Because if you don't learn that now, it's just going to repeat itself, like a different guy or a different situation or a different person, but same cycle.
Exactly. That's
Mm.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
yeah, and to our listeners out there, like resilience is being able to bounce back from anything. It's how well you're able to just come back to yourself, and that's why it's important to have your identity and whole, because that's where you're always going to come back to when you need to
Mhm.
bounce back from anything.
Yeah.
So like it goes back again to you got to be aware of self-awareness, your
Yeah.
mindset, and then your
Mhm.
beliefs.
So
Everything
how can we
trickles
ano?
down.
So how can we develop this resilience, girl? I agree with both of you 100% on this. I mean,
Mhm.
the whole suicide, anxiety, depression, social media, 10 hours a day for Filipinos. But then our rates are going up for depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and suicide.
Mhm.
Uh, at exactly the same time, huh? At
Yep.
exactly the same time, social media was invented and has scaled and has been dominant in the Philippines.
Mhm.
And I think, no, can you imagine? Let's talk about the last 10 years. If you're a child and you always see your parent or your tito or your tita or your lola or your lola, what are they always doing with this gray box? Sometimes it's a small black box that fits in the palm of their hand. Sometimes it's a bigger black box that they have on their lap or this big desk. No, so the kids can see that this box is so important to us as human beings, But then we should not, I believe, to fight that, we should do it old school in the fact that, oh no, in the way that we should really dialogue with people, make connections that are part of life.
Mm.
Have a conversation. Don't go to fucking Rebel and go because it's a noisy place. You don't have to show how stupid you are because you can't carry a fucking conversation, diba? Sorry. I'm an opinionated man. What can I say? Huh? No, but it's you know what I mean. It's a danger to our society.
Mm.
Diba? This whole thing, we cannot discount the mindset, and there's so many times we discount intelligence in other people and in ourselves at the
Agree.
risk of all this crazy things because we refuse to look at the what's happening around us.
I think what you're referring to is more entertainment, like people distracting themselves with entertainment, in terms of social media, in terms of getting drunk and going out, etc., in order not to deal with whatever their issues are. So, like going back to resilience, I think it really is about working on that self-awareness, and it really starts with asking yourself questions of like, where did I learn this? When you have a reaction to something, like when you feel mad at, I don't know, somebody has been gossiping about me, so I just feel mad. Start asking yourself, like, why am I mad? Where is this coming from? And being able to really dig into yourself and really ask those questions helps you, number one, detach from whatever emotion is that that's coming up, because you realize, oh, this is my ego that's showing up. It's not really, this isn't me, because I can observe it there. I can become a third person observer to me being mad and acting out. Second thing is, you have a better understanding of yourself. You have a better understanding of, okay, so this is triggering for me. And just with that simple awareness, you can detach. You can tell yourself, this isn't about me anymore. And that's building resilience, really finding what's the lesson here. Like, what's the lesson behind what's happening to me, or what's the lesson behind this negative experience? And then you think, okay, so this is the lesson. It could be kindness, compassion, I don't know. How do I move forward? Right? Like, what are the next steps that I need to do? And like, honestly, it's easier said than done. But again, like, we go back to self-awareness. I keep telling people, you can't go from Trump to the Dalai Lama in terms of awareness, right, in a span of a day. Takes work. So for me, like, right, like, the younger that you start, the more awareness you can really, the more self-aware you are, the more you can kind of question yourself. I feel the more resilience and the more grit you kind of create for yourself, because of that space of kindness and compassion, that that this is a struggle. I'm aware that this is a struggle, but there's a lesson there. So let me take a step back and kind of figure out what that lesson is. Okay, I figured it out. Now I can go back in with that kindness and compassion and not be as reactive to it as I probably would have been a couple of months ago.
Yeah. And that's why one of the best things to be able to build your resilience is, I mean, two of the things, one in the very kind of like opposite, is one is to be good at forgiving yourself and forgiving, whoever has wronged you. It's like, be an expert at doing that, and that's going to help you bounce back faster. I mean, whether it's with somebody that wronged you or it's something that you feel stupid for doing yourself, I think forgiveness is it sounds cheesy, but it is really powerful, and it's true. Like, that's what's going to help you bounce back. And the other thing for me is really overcoming fear. And the only way to face fears is to face it. That's why they say face your fear. That's another way to develop like very strong resilience. And these are science-backed things. And I wish that people would not just listen to it, but take action, execute it, and experience it for themselves.
Make it a habit, no?
Yeah, because once you actually try it and experience, now, holy cow, this actually works. It's like a breakthrough, because we only learn things once by listening to it. But when there's no application, you never get to really practice it. You just know it in your head. But the feeling of that freedom you feel when you actually like get the life lesson
Yeah.
is priceless, and you really level up like exponentially. So
Yeah.
that's gonna save you guys a lot of years.
Yeah.
No,
No, totally.
no,
Like,
that's great.
to add on to that. Oh, sorry, Rob.
No, go ladies first. Go ahead.
No, like just to add on to what Rika said, like that's yes, like that's totally true, especially when it comes to getting out of your comfort zone and moving into more of the fear zone a little bit. We keep telling ourselves a lot of things. I want to do this, I want to be this, I want to experience this. But in when it comes to communication, language is actually only makes up 7% of, like, if when we want to actually do something.
Right.
38% is emotions. It's really feeling that this is something that I really need to do. And 55% is the body, or actually going out and doing it. The body really is the hardest thing to move, which is why, like, if you tell yourself that, oh, I'm gonna exercise tomorrow and I'm gonna run, etc. You wake up the next day and you're like, oh, it's raining. Oh, it's really warm inside my bed. Maybe tomorrow na lang. 55%, like, the body is the hardest thing to get to move, but once you kind of get past that, emotion and language will follow.
Yeah, and I agree. And if I may add to it also, coming from a difficult time in my life 3 years ago, I wouldn't have imagined that my mood that now, my mood,
Mm,
my mind, my behavior, even the group of friends that I have now, are better than ever. No, so much better than ever. So I have this little list that I'd like to share. No, for people
go.
who are in need of maybe building some resilience, but they don't know where to start. Number one, you have to remember, you're not an island. No, so making connections is extremely important.
Yep.
You don't have to have a lot of friends, a lot of lot. What you do want to find though are quality friends.
Right.
A handful of quality friends can go a long way for the rest of your life. But being
True.
Mr. or Mrs. Popularity with so much friends who are useless, it's just gonna eat you up. It's gonna end up hurting people. You're gonna
Yes.
pay the price eventually. So accepting help and support from people who care about you, uh, and who are willing to listen to your strengths and criticize you for the wrong things that you do,
Mm.
not out of
Call you
chismis or
out on
anything.
your shit.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
call you out. That's very important, no? So you're no saint either. None of us are. But
Mm-hmm.
having people who can be comfortable enough to call you out, but have the best in mind for you. That's the kind of people you want to be around. And
Mm.
I think next up is also avoid seeing problems as such unsurmountable, permanent problems. Things will change. Things will get better. I mean, in this
Mm.
COVID time, my gosh.
Yeah.
My gosh, let's just say my gosh. What we went through, especially with keeping the business alive, no?
Mm.
If my younger self has been through this, oh my gosh, I would not be able to handle it talaga, no? But it's important to say that these problems, they come from a season, they don't last forever. Don't
Yes.
apply a permanent solution, like suicide, like slashing yourself, like developing a drug habit, just because you're having a problem at this
Well,
time.
I just want to say, like, those are coping mechanisms, not
Yeah.
necessarily the best, but yeah, coping mechanisms.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Okay. And then I think eventually also it's important to have goals and to
Mm.
accept that change is part of a living. You can have
Mm.
goals, but Mike Tyson said, you can have all the plans in the world, but the plans seem to change the moment you get punched in the face. That's normal.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurship, that's so normal. We have all
Yeah.
these business plans that everyone does, but the moment day one hits you, oh my gosh, you're changing plans left and right. But the goal stays the same. So I think that's very important. And if you have a goal, it helps with your resilience because human beings, we're very aiming creatures. And if we don't have something that we're aiming at, what do you know? We get lost, right?
Yeah. So more like having that big vision or life purpose.
Yes,
Yeah.
purpose, vision, meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I think also, if I may add one last, when you have resilience, you may doubt yourself. You might not be the best person in mind. You may not be the best person at the time. However, make your decisions and stick to it. Diba? So that you also can
Mm.
learn to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to make mistakes, but then learn from your mistakes. So, and if people don't take decisions, because it's such a terrible life to live if you can't even trust yourself?
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
That's a daily prison. And
Yep.
if if you're in battle with yourself, that's the
Mm.
most painful battle of all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also the most crucial battle that you have to win.
Yeah. I
Diba?
Yeah.
keep telling people like it's either you live your life or you're gonna allow life to live you. And the latter
Exactly.
isn't so much fun.
Maganda yan. Maganda yan.
Tsaka just stemming off what Rob said about like you gotta have your goals and stuff like that. It's like, yes, we gotta have our goals, but in the process of getting there, we also have to learn how to detach from, because you not change. I mean, everything changes from one moment to another. I mean, during this whole COVID thing, the moment you make chica the news to somebody, there's like another news already that came up, diba? So it was really like, oh my god, every hour there's something new. And if I may teach you guys something from like the yogic side of things, it's like it's detachment. It's learning how to, okay, you, because detachment isn't like you don't care about whatever happens. It's more of like,
No.
okay, you know where you're going, and your goal and purpose in life is really to develop yourself fully to your full potential, because that's God's purpose for us. Like, we gotta live our fullest potential as human beings, right? But getting through that, it's like you got to learn how to detach, because outcomes will always change. And one phrase, I think it's Italian, that I've learned from like the philosophies of stoicism. I was just reading
Mhm.
about this like again the other day. It's called
Nice.
amor fati, which is being in love with whatever comes, like come what may. It's
Oh,
be
that's
okay with
nice.
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
Mm.
because
seriously.
we, if for example, like uh, if you break your leg and you just complain and bitch about it, like, you might not know that that breaking of your leg was a blessing in disguise for something else. Like, we'll just never know. So it's just take it as it is and be okay with it. And
That's
so
Yep.
nice.
that's like, diba?
That's
Like,
wonderful. That amorphity. Love your fate,
Mm.
yes,
which is in fact your life.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's
come
And
with
awesome.
me.
simply not being attached to results
Yep.
or
Yeah,
not being attached to the outcome. Just enjoy the journey.
yeah. You never know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sir Eric Sacro, and thank you very much for your comments. It's hard
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
and
depend on someone else or waiting for someone else to decide. That's
Oh
true.
yeah, definitely. I don't think you should. Like, the moment you kind of pass on your responsibility to someone else is that the moment you do that, that just puts you on, like the losing side of life, because you're just
Yeah, but
accepting whatever comes your way.
pero if it's someone that you love and someone who's part of your life, but they're behaving in that way, I think number one, just maybe first take a step back. It's just a behavior at this season, no?
yeah,
And if there's someone that's very important to you, empathy is important because you have to acknowledge that they're going through their own journey, and maybe so are you,
Yeah.
diba? And
Mm-hmm.
maturity should come in such a way that, you know what, I don't have to get into that frame of mind. As I can still be myself, have my joy, have my peace, and maybe I
Yeah.
can help this person out who's undecided.
Mm.
yeah. I mean, when it comes to decision making, like, I was just teaching my kids, the power of decision making. When you really think about it, when you make a decision, it's at an instant. Even if you take, oh, I'll sleep on it, I'll take 1 week to think about it, I'll take 1 year to think about it. When the time comes that you're gonna make the choice anyway, it still comes at a moment. So it's like, get better at making decisions faster, and practice. Okay, like, once you make a decision, you know that there's gonna be weight that comes with that decision. Like, be ready to handle it, diba?
Mm.
And so when you think about it too much, you don't even know siguro what comes with that decision until you make it. So be good at it. Be an expert at making decisions.
Yeah.
So responsibility and commitment, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Make the decision and live with the consequences of it. Learn.
Yeah.
learn.
Learn and adapt.
Okay, guys.
Maganda yan. Thank you for your
So since
question, Sir Eric.
We have so much lessons today, diba, guys?
Yeah, I love it.
So, like, just to wrap it up, like, what is? I'll just go. Let's
Wrap
go for
wrap
everybody.
up na
What's
ba
your
tayo?
biggest?
Wrap up na ba tayo? But
Yeah,
wait, can
maganda.
I can I ask a
Game.
question? The curfew now is 12 o'clock, right?
I have no. I don't go out, so I don't know.
Kasi di
I
ba
don't.
July
Yeah,
22 is the new. From the last time I checked, July 22, restaurants are allowed to open until 11.
Ah,
Tama
oh
ba?
wow,
I
that's
think
late.
so it's
baka
okay if you
fake
want to.
news yan. Baka fake news yan. Pero I have to, just to be safe, I'll have to leave in like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
we're wrapping up.
biggest takeaway.
But first, can I say thank you very much, ladies? Wonderful topic. Nice to join you. You're two very wonderful, positive people.
Aw.
And I think now that you know, this is Kathy kasi before we knew each other, puro, it's always fun and games, no? When we would hang out with Chef Jonas and James and Daughters. But
That
when
was
you,
the energy.
yeah, but you know, now that you shared some personal stuff with you, especially in episode 0,
Mm.
and the fact that you're this life coach, I'm very thankful for that. So thank you, Kathy, for you.
Aw,
And
thanks, Rob.
and
Thank you,
and for
Kat.
you, Rika, thank you also. I used to be an avid anti TikTok person.
Me too. Until I
I
did it. I
know,
mean,
no, but you
you
use it
know,
so productively. And
Rob
you know
is
the
very.
that's how I saw you. That's how I saw you. Your TikTok videos, and I'm like,
you
this is
know
the
the
first
reason
time I'm
why
seeing TikTok and inspired. So thank
the
you for
reason
you.
why
Thank you for you,
TikTok.
Rika.
You're welcome. But the reason why I put TikTok was purely because it was an exercise to see if I could take that action step without, oh, should I do it? Should I not? What would people think? I was just like, you know what? My intention is pure. It's super pure. I just want one person, just one soul to be like, oh my gosh, that 1 minute video helped me in this moment. And that's all I wanted to do. And I was like, I'm gonna do it every day,
And that's
three
awesome
times a day.
because I saw your post where there's this young lady who was having a hard time in her life. I think she was like a teenager, early 20s. And then
Yeah.
you said she really resonated with what you had to say on TikTok. I'm sure
Yeah.
before seeing your video, she was probably seeing a lot of fake filtered bikini videos where people just face tune the hell out of themselves, diba? And making her feel worse. But yours really helped her in her period in time.
And you know what's funny about that video? So, guys, if you didn't know, like, I was what I do on TikTok is just motivational stuff. But on that day, I was kind of tired and I didn't have like a topic. I just didn't want to post, and
Mm.
I felt lonely. I was crying before I filmed it. I was like, I want somebody to say that they love me. Like, I feel lonely, like. So I was like, you know what? If I don't get to hear it today, maybe somebody would feel that way too. So I made a video and then I was like, holy cow, this is so my friends are gonna find this so cringy that I'm saying, you know what, if nobody has said I love you to you today, I love you, you're special, you're worthy, you're important. And then I just closed my eyes and I posted it. I'm like, bahala na whoever finds it. And that video got 100,000+ views. I got 200 comments and I got people doing that duet where they
Mm.
send their reaction to me
Mm.
saying I love you to them, and they're just like, Ate Rix, thank you. I needed that. I needed that. And I was just like, see, when you overthink and overanalyze and you don't decide, like, oh, I don't know, that's cringy. What would people think? Like, you miss out on the pureness of the moment and the
Yep.
vulnerability, and that's what I feel like I look for when I watch people. I'm like, I want to see the realness of that person.
Yeah, and look,
Mhm.
And
because you
also,
came
I
over your.
encourage you to do TikTok.
I will. But look, you came over your initial doubt, and you ended up
Yeah.
helping this young woman so much that she cried because she was so touched. Diba? I mean, sometimes it could be cringy, but my gosh, if you're living in a sorry if this hits home with some people, no? Especially if you're living in a home of filled with abuse. Even if it's a cheesy "I love you" from someone you don't know in TikTok, and it helps,
It
do it.
helps.
Yeah.
The world is better for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so like touched. I got blessed after that, and I felt the love. I was like, okay, I don't need to hear it from a man or anybody. Like, I just love is not always a
Yeah.
relationship.
So it
Yeah.
turns out like
Have to
it
be
turns out
romantic.
like It turns
Huh?
out like that. It turns out like that old guy Jesus Christ was pretty correct with saying that parang treat others as you would like to treat others yourselves. And look, it really does bounce back to you. And in this case, it bounced back right away. And if you don't want to talk about the religious aspect of it, you could call it the universe. You
Yeah,
receive what you give out. So you just gave out something and you got it back 200 times.
Mhm.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
why it
Amazing.
that stuff works, guys.
No, that's
I
why
think
that's why I look forward to this Wednesdays with you girls. I look forward.
We should
And
do
we
this
didn't
every
make
day.
and we didn't make chismis at all. Can you imagine? We're one.
I know.
We're.
wala in me.
That's why I'm saying we can talk for an hour and 30 minutes and 45 seconds right now with zero chismis.
You know, Kat and I, we stayed for like what, 4 hours after when you went to buy your makeup.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
We
I
stayed
have
till
makeup
5.
now. I have
We
makeup
just
now. No, no.
bonded.
I know.
Yeah, we just
Nice, but ladies, I thank you for
Mm.
you, the two of you.
thank you for you
You
too.
guys are awesome.
Rob. I mean, this was your idea, so I'm just happy to be a part of it. If I'm honest. Um.
An idea is just an idea, but it takes people to make think it a reality. You know.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I very much share this reality with the two of you, and I thank you.
Namaste,
Thank
guys.
you.
Namaste.
Yeah. All right. To wrap this
Thank you.
up, guys,
Oh, wrap
biggest
it up.
takeaway.
Ano,
Rob, do
no?
you sleep?
No, no, I
What
just
is
need
your
to leave.
biggest?
Oh, ladies
Ako muna.
first.
My
Ladies
biggest
first.
takeaway is you know, is our human connection between the three of us. I think I more than like the topic that we discussed. I feel like because you guys are my friends and we're able to our ideas and our language, it's like we're so aligned with the way we think. That's a takeaway for me because I think people out there just need to find a few good men, not men, but just a few
People.
quality friends that's gonna help pull them up in life.
Mm.
In other words.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kathy?
For me, my biggest takeaway is it really be mindful of your space, like who you share it with, the people that, you share ideas and your life and your big vision with, because it really matters. And just being able to, I think one of the biggest Filipino like belief systems that I really struggle with as well is just people expressing themselves. And just what Rika was talking about earlier, just saying I love you, and expressing that to the people who you feel, mean something to you, should really be a practice. Like everybody should be doing this. I do it a lot, like with my life coaching circles. Saying I love you isn't a weird thing. I kind of get a kick out of some people's reactions when I say it to them, because it ranges from like shock to I don't know, disgust sometimes. Like what?
They like
They like it. At the end of the day, it makes you feel good. It's my way of expressing myself. And I think this is something that a lot more people should do, especially dads. I don't hear it as much from dads. Men aren't as expressive as women saying I love you.
Yeah.
So training if your dad is still around, train your dad to tell you to say I love you to you. If you are a dad, try and make it as natural as possible, telling your kids that you love them and appreciate them. It really does a lot for the psyche, and it really uplifts whoever it is that's hearing it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. One of my biggest fears is that my kids might get tired of me saying I love you to them, because I do it in every single conversation with them. The one of the biggest. However, I don't baby them. I
No.
debate with them. Because right now they're pushing back. There's a lot of pushback. But wait, my biggest takeaway first. I think I really enjoyed the whole conversation of resilience. When I got separated, I was in this shell because now of all the gossip, no, it's like literally every person I spoke to had a different story to tell from a gossip that they heard someone else. And
I
it
heard like
felt,
5
and I
different.
can imagine some people who are in a very hard time in their life. Sometimes they feel that wherever they step, it's danger. The danger is to them, and that's how I felt for a good 9 months. 9 months, when I would wake up, I would look forward to sleeping so that it would be time to sleep already. So it was very
I get
tough.
that.
But I had my
Mm.
family around me. That was good. And then my true friends really surfaced. You know,
Mm.
and I thought a lot of the blaming really happened by everyone alang, no? But then you can tell talaga the quality of people when they choose to go over the gossip and they choose to not be a negative, not be a negative player in the lives of other people and
Yeah.
disguise it as righteousness and concern, pretending to be such a good person. Like, oh my gosh. Diba? So
Mhm.
I hope that the resilience talk of this episode would help someone because it is very difficult to be living a life when you think that you don't have any kakampi.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
very close to throwing in the towel. And however that proverbial towel might be that you might throw, I think if you're in going through that part, this hurting yourself is never the right. It's never a solution. Instead, make yourself stronger, and it starts in between your ears, my friends. So this is your chef Rob.
And
I don't say it much. I don't say it much, but I'll copy in the fashion of Rix and Kat. I do love you. You are loved. You're special. You may be going through a hard time now, but stick around, and let's see you get stronger together.
love
Do
that.
this. Do
Thanks,
this,
Rob.
Rob.
How about this?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. That's it for tonight. We will see you
All
again
right.
next Wednesday, same time, 8
Yay!
p.m.
I'm so excited.
We will figure out what we want to talk about then.
Thank you for watching, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Guys.
Bye.
See you Wednesday. Bye.